Precision Aerobatics. The name sounds awesome, and the airframe lives up to it too. PA is local to us here in North Carolina, so we chose them as our first Balsa 3D airframe to fly. We picked it up locally from Chapel Hill, and the results didn't let us down. This is our favorite 3D plane right now. This thing rips, and it's easy to fly too. If you're used to flying a foam airplane, Katana is like that, just better in every way.
Every time you do that, you step in front of the camera.
It never fights you when you give it input, and it does exactly what you tell it to do. It's exceptionally well made, and the directions to build it aren't hard to follow either. This was our first wood ARF, and we managed to put it together without mangling it up. Katana is like one of those planes that you've heard about where it flies like it's connected to your mind. Because it does what you tell it to, it flies like it's directly wired into your brain. It'll do what you say, even if you screw up. So this is a great plane to really hone your 3D skills and begin flying even better than you did before. It doesn't hesitate at all, so when you do something right, you're immediately rewarded with incredible flying. Our Katana uses the Quantum 45 amp ESC and PA Thrust 45 motor, along with a carbon fiber spinner and prop adapter. AGFRC sponsored us with top-of-the-line A20 BHM servos, so we used those instead of the recommended Nexitech servos. These things kick out some serious torque and are almost faster than you can see. We're excited to get into the world of Balsa 3D models, and we can't wait to keep building up our skills with these amazing airframes. We're going to hop right into the review, along with showing you what our setup is, so you know what to expect if you get one of these for yourself. Real quick, I'm going to go over my rates in Expo. Of course, we're flying with 150% rates almost across the board, with the exception of the elevator, which I did reduce a little bit. Aileron Expo in the highest rate is 100%, 50% Expo, of course. Same with the rudder and elevator. Going down, we're at, what is it, 25% Expo, and then negative 20% Expo for the lowest rates, just so I have a little bit of control over it at lower speeds, because with no Expo, it doesn't feel right. With negative Expo, it actually feels pretty good. Here we go. Look at the way those things snap rolls. It's insanely good. Right into a rolling Harrier. Now, PA does say that it does rolling Harriers with limited input. I'm gonna say that, you know, I don't disagree with that, but it does feel like it needs a little bit more than I would expect. But maybe I'm just not used to the airframe yet. It's very precise though with these servos. Look at this thing go. Whip it around, gonna go up, and we're gonna floop it around into a regular Harrier. Almost no wing rock. If there's no wind, the plane behaves very well. If there's wind, which you guys are gonna see in the later segments with my wife shot it with me yesterday, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. It's very pronounced and it's annoying, but most 3D planes don't do all that great in the wind because of the light wing loading. It also hovers very, very well. Almost input free as soon as I get it into a stable hover. There's a little bit of wind to contend with, which is why the plane's getting pushed around, but nothing we can't contend with. I'm gonna go right into a waterfall crankshaft. This thing screams. This plane is more epoxy than wood, but it feels so good, man. I'll have to turn on the transmitter cam for you guys next time so you can see what I'm doing. We're definitely gonna use this plane to make tutorial content. I think with a proper woody model as opposed to a foamy model, a woody will help us really kind of get some of these basic concepts across for people. 3D is really just a discipline that you can kind of approach any way you want. You don't really have to be, you know, one of those people that does every prescribed move. You can do hovers and torque rolls or whatever else you want to do. Most of this is very low input, very easy to do. It's so responsive. This plane basically feels like it does whatever you tell it to do. Now, my favorite maneuver, for those of you guys who've been watching the channel for a long time, know is a knife edge spin. Watch this thing. Insane. The way it screams, the way it just kind of floats through the air, cuts through the wind, kind of makes it do whatever it wants. It's really good. Inverted Harrier is pretty rock solid too. Don't do this unless you're really comfortable with stick input, but you don't really have to give it a whole lot of stick input to get it to fly like this. I mean, look at this. There we go. Just barely pushing the stick most of the time. I'm gonna go between me and Kieran here. There we go. Appreciate Kieran for taking his time to avoid flying for just a few to help me get this up for the channel. My wife and I filmed the windy segment yesterday, and it just didn't do all that great as much as I wanted it to because of the extreme winds we were dealing with. Oof, you gotta think quick sometimes when you do 3D like this. So much authority on every single control surface. It's just so good. I love it. Love going into snaps, right into a Harrier. You can do a lot of low and slow stuff with it too. This is still something I'm learning how to do, so forgive me if you low and slow purists think that I suck. You're probably right. I'm not the best pilot out there. I like to learn and continually try to improve though. So getting a little lower with it. Don't want to damage the plane, of course. Did have to spend a decent amount of money working on it, but look at how easy it goes around these little Harrier maneuvers. It's just so good. Now we are using an AS3X gyro, but it's barely doing anything. It's just there to kind of help with some of the pitch stability because I do like to run a CG that's slightly behind what PA recommends. I'm gonna move out of the way of Kieran here. We're gonna do a little bit of hovering in the grass. There we go. Get her over here. Look at this thing go. Maybe I can get a tail dip if I'm lucky. Come on, baby. Let me tail dip it. Got it into the grass. Now watch this. Watch this front flip it does. So good, man. Whip it around with the rudder. Rolling Harriers are just so good. You can do circles too. I'm not good enough to consistently get it to stay put the way I want it to, so I can't always get it to go in a line. I have to learn. Something we haven't done yet is powered, yeah, there we go, like a parachute kind of maneuver. Look at this thing go, man. These servos just force the wood to do whatever you want it to do. So good, man. We're gonna definitely try it with the 12x7 prop right after this. 14.81 volts. Oh my gosh, some of these maneuvers, I don't even know if they have a name. They're just things I like to do, moving the sticks in certain combinations to get it to behave the way I wanted it to. Oh, almost crashed it. You have any problems keeping up, buddy?
Nope.
Cool. Let's do a knife edge pass, maybe get it to be a very high beta knife edge while we still have plenty of battery power to work with here. There we go, full stick input. Look at this thing go. Locked in place. I guess, man, I'm telling you, precision aerobatics is so good. I do like extreme flight. I've flown Kieran's Woodies that he's bought. The, what are those, extra 48 inches?
Yep.
Yeah, his extra 48 inches are pretty good. But man, this thing's got such a presence to it in the sky. The color scheme especially makes it really pop. It's very, very unique looking to me. Now, a lot of these 3D planes tend to look very similar because they kind of have to be performant. They have to be based on kind of like an extra style frame. This one doesn't feel like it's, you know, a typical extra though. Look at this thing hover. It's so stable, man. Oh, I love it. It's just so good. I can't sing its praises highly enough. My friend Adam from Model Aviator mentioned that I was gonna love a purpose-built 3D plane, and he is completely, utterly, 100% correct. And of course, I do still fly with the gyro. We'll turn that off. We're completely off right now. The plane is completely neutral. It actually flies really well without the gyro. I still like the gyro because it does smoothen out some of the inputs, especially in the wind. But for now, since the wind is very light, I don't think we have much to worry about. But yeah, it does feel like it slides a little bit more. And there is a little bit of wing rock without the gyro, but that also could be part of the wind too. Let's do some hovering with no gyro. I've had people tell me I can't do it, but pretty sure I can. There we go. It doesn't take much. A well-balanced plane will hover with or without a gyro. That's all it takes. It's just knowing the stick inputs. Turning the gyro back on.
Some people will call gyros a crutch. You guys have already seen the gyro video, know that I don't feel that way at all. I feel like they're an essential aid to making a plane that flies good, fly even better. As you saw, it flew really well with the gyro and without it. All right, how much flight time have we had? I don't even know. How much power? 14.63 volts. All right, I think we can bring her in real quick and get over to the 12x7 prop. Use that massive elevator to air brake it. Sweet stuff, man. So good so far. Let me tell you, this thing flies like it's on rails. Like, I hate using that phrase because I feel like it's been overused, but if I had to think that something was stuck to metal rails in the sky, it would definitely be this thing. It does fly really well. A lot of these wooden planes are just like that. It's kind of hard to get something that's not good these days. You really got to work hard to find a plane that sucks, depending on how you fly. Now, if you were to smash a plane into the ground, of course, the landing gear is going to suck, even if they are a nice carbon fiber like this. So just keep that in mind. Maybe treat it nicely, and it'll treat you well in return. We're going to swap to the 12x7 and be right back. All right, so now we're on the Xoar 12x7 prop, which is recommended by PA. We're going to take it up, see what it can do. We flew it off camera. It's a little different, but not so much that I don't think I'd enjoy it. But I think the 13x5 is more my style. Let's bring her on up. Here we go. Man, you do get a little bit more low-end thrust, but it's not as wide of, like, the prop wash isn't as wide, so you're not getting as much of an effect. I do feel like you get a little bit more punch out with hovering though. Whoa. Oh, my stabilizer was turned all the way up because I fat fingered it. There we go. Turn it back down to where it's supposed to be. That's much better feeling. The prop wash definitely is not as powerful, like in terms of width, but in terms of like speed, the 7-inch pitch that you get, I had to think about it while I'm trying to fly and do 3D at the same time. So for whatever reason, I cannot get this thing to do a pop top. I must be entering it wrong. It's gotta be what's going on. Let's try it again. I guess that was halfway decent, but it's not floating the way I was hoping that it would.
15.48 volts.
Kick it around with some rudder. Kind of like a long, not so flat spin. No, we didn't try though, is see if it would do a better crankshaft with the extra speed of the 12x7. So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, not half bad. It's not a true crankshaft in the sense that I was hoping it would be. Let's try it again. Oh yeah. Okay, so kind of massaging the throttle stick. You catch all that, Kieran?
Yep.
Oh yeah, my man. Yeah, if you really get fast with the stick inputs, you can keep, I mean, the servos, the AGF A20 BHM servos can keep up with what you're trying to do. The only real weak link on this setup is the push rods, because I'm not using the CF push rods. I'm using a carbon fiber rod zip tied to a metal push rod that actually fits on the metal servo arms. Let's try a knife edge spin now. It does almost everything you want. I still think I like 13x5 better, but I'm getting some respectable, fun performance out of the 12x7. In fact, I'd say. I'm almost hands off with these inverted Harriers. It's so good, dude. I'm gonna make it go around one more time, and I'm gonna line up and go between me and him. I like how the guys that I fly with don't really worry too much about where the plane's gonna go, because they're, you know, you see me flying it, it's not like I'm gonna run it into you. I'll put it into the ground first, but you gotta get that content, yo. It's just got so much potential, so much thrust. It's a premium priced product. It wasn't cheap. Definitely spent about half a grand to get everything, including the thrust motor, the props, the prop adapter, the carbon fiber spinner, the ESC. Look at this thing go. It does basically everything you want to do. Hard to get much better than that. Let's see if we can get a good flat spin out of it. Full back elevator till it stalls, maybe a little bit less. There we go. Trying to watch out for those trees. Rolling Harriers are still one of my favorite maneuvers to do aside from knife edge spins. And this one does it really well. Let me see if I can get it turned over around to us.
14.72 volts.
Man, it's just so good. Now see if we can get a long Harrier pass. I'm gonna rotate the plane over, turn it around over here without making it balloon too much. God, that looked horrible. Part of the precision of 3D is not making it balloon like that, I'd say. Sometimes you're gonna get it from wind and whatnot, but sometimes you get it because you screwed up, and that's definitely what I did there. Good to go. A little bit of wing rock the whole time. You can use a Harrier mix, kind of like this, that does kind of help settle it in a bit better, reduces some of that wing rock tendency that you get with the wind. Actually, it makes it very rock solid. See, it has no problem being thrown around. The 12x7 for sure is a good option if you want a little bit more thrust, but I think you sacrifice a little bit of control. Whoa, oh boy. Quick thinking on that one. Did you catch that whole thing, man?
Yep.
Yeah, that's me screwing up. Let me do that again, but this time not screwed up so bad. I like to go do those high energy maneuvers and go right into something a little bit more precise and controllable. Let's use the Harrier flaps to pop it up. There we go. See if he'll do a better Harrier pass this time around. It's definitely getting hit by wind over there. There we go. So once it gets out of that area where the hangars are, it stabilizes, but when it's by that windy spot where the hangars are, it definitely screws up a bit. All right, we're running out of power here, so I better land it before we go into low voltage cutoff. I'm gonna reduce throttle, bring it in. Last thing I wanna do is be in a Harrier and then have it land with no thrust. Nice and gentle. Like what I see. It definitely handles really well. Either prop is a good choice. I think the 13x5 is more my speed because it definitely gives me more precise control over it. The 12x7 is a little bit more powerful. I'm gonna give you guys my review on this plane as I hold it and talk about it. Again, I paid for this out of pocket, but you know, I tend to give planes a high review score if they do most of what I want to do, and this one's going to be no exception. It's a solid 9.5 for me, and that's not because I paid for it or it could have been sent to me for free if it had been a different model. It's because I genuinely believe that this is a good model. It flies well. I'd like to think that I demonstrated it somewhat competently. The construction on this thing is nothing short of phenomenal. You definitely feel like you get a premium priced product. Like Kieran's Woodies are not too much cheaper than this by maybe like $30, $40 after you get all the components. And yet this one comes with gapless hinges on the ailerons, whereas his are carbon fiber, or not carbon fiber, but what's that word? CA hinged. So the little tape piece is holding it in place rather than actual hinge surface. So I didn't have to connect that or put it together or anything. It already came like that out of the box. The whole plane is premium built. You do have to build it yourself, a lot of it anyway. Like it does come with the fuselage, but you gotta like cut out the holes to put in the servo leads and everything and connect everything together. You gotta assemble the motor box with a lot of epoxy. I did joke that this plane is mostly epoxy and a little bit of wood. That's not really inaccurate, the amount of reinforcement that this plane needs to fly correctly. You'll notice that I did screw up a little bit. The manual was not the easiest thing to understand, so this tape right here is electrical tape that sort of kind of matches well enough, and it doesn't affect how it flies. Until the PA covering comes in, that's what I'm gonna have to use. I did not find that the PA covering was able to let me cover this stuff. The blue that they had given me did not actually stick Sometimes that happens with this stuff, maybe like some humidity got to it. So I ordered some extra blue and white so I could actually like fix it myself with my covering iron. Overall, flies great, does just about everything I want it to do. I need to get good and learn how to do proper pop tops. I thought I was doing them well, and I got them to be kind of respectable, but this plane is something I can really learn to fly better with, and hopefully bring some even better content to the channel in the form of tutorials and some other stuff, assuming I don't wreck it, in which case it's just part of the crash reel for 2023, am I right?
Hell yeah.
So thanks again for watching, guys. We're gonna go straight into the windy segment and then any B-roll that we might have left around, and then that'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Check out the wind, see how it handles in that.
Unfortunately, like most lightly loaded models, the Katana suffers a bit at the edge of its envelope in wind. It gets tossed around by gusts and turbulence, which makes it harder to fly precise 3D maneuvers. It can be a frustrating experience. You can remedy this a little by running heavier batteries, but this will result in a plane that stalls easier due to the higher wing loading. There's trade-offs to everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys again next upload.